Oh, hey, YouTube. Good afternoon. I really have a face for radio. Anyway, you said, I almost said USADA. UFC 263, because I think USADA should come into play here at some point. But, yeah, I only saw the last three fights on the main card. And I have some quick thoughts that I just want to get out. First of all, I've been following Moreno. I think that's his name, Moreno. Apologies for the inaccuracy, but been following him for I think one or two fights before his loss to Figueroa. As a matter of fact, the first fight with Figueroa, I expected him to win that fight. I thought that the better fighter did not win that night. Since then, I think he's three fights, 3 fight win streak, all fairly close together. And then he gets the title shot against Figueroa, of course. I didn't really recognize the name, but as soon as I saw him walking in, I texted a good buddy of mine and I said, the champ's going to lose tonight. This kid's good. That's exactly what happened. And this guy, his attitude, his demeanor, he's humble, man. Just so many good things to say about this young man. Family man, I just couldn't be more happy for this guy, and I think that he's gonna be around for quite some time. So that's very good. Let's move on to uh, Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards. Listen, I'm a Diaz Army fan. Ever since I saw Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler, way back in the day. Just and then Nate jumped on the show back when I used to watch the show, and he had an incident with Caro Parisian on the taping of that show, and I just remember thinking, yeah, that guy's a carbon copy of his brother, and he's not going to take anything from anybody, man. I was automatically a huge fan. The other side of that, Leon Edwards, I think now he's a 10 fight win streak. And I don't want to say too much about him, but what I don't like about Leon Edwards is he only fights to the level of his competition. So I have no idea what his ceiling is. I just don't know because which I I mean take it how you want it. I'm not downing the guy, but I would really like to have a better idea of you know where his capabilities really lie. I have no idea because, like I said, he only fights to the level of his competition. So I think that's not too good. And as far as the fifth round, almost getting put away thing, I mean, after 5 rounds, you're just tired, So he was able to keep it together, but that fight was clearly one sided. And uh, I don't want to rag on Nate. I just want to point out what I think is the obvious. Um, the one thing I didn't see from Nate Diaz that I usually always see, um, he didn't fight behind his jab. He just left his jab at home. And I think had he started working that jab more in the first and second rounds, by the third, fourth round, I think Leon Edwards would have been much more tired, much more beat up, and then he maybe could have put him away. But I was real disappointed not to see that. So I think that's where the fault in Nate Diaz lies last night. No work behind the jab whatsoever. So not very happy about that. What can I say about moving on? Israel Adesanya and Vittori. I thought that if Vittori was able to get that fight to the ground, he would just finish Izzy. I thought he was going to be too strong and just hold him down. Izzy is just full of surprises. Um, his ground game is probably so much better than I ever knew it was. And I was a huge fan of his coming into the UFC. I've seen every fight. Unfortunately for me, I also saw the infamous Gyno Paulo Costa fight. And there's no doubt about it in my head. That was gynecomastia, a result of taking PEDs. There's no doubt about it. We know now that that's the case. I would also like to say that for the fight with Jan Blachowicz, he showed up in about this same size, same shape. But last night, I found it it was pretty noticeable to me. You know, his face was even thinner. Izzy was so much thinner last night than he has been in his last two fights. So I don't know what's going on with that guy. I don't know what's going on with this camp, whatever. But not good things. I was a huge fan, and not so much anymore. I do like him as a person. I like him as a fighter. I love him as a fighter. I love his fight IQ. I love so many things about him, but the PED thing is just upsetting to me and heartbreaking, really, as a fan. And the last thing I'll say about it is when you're at that level, you know, I mean, you're at championship level of the premier mixed martial arts organization in the world. I have to believe that most of those people are on PEDs, and it is what it is. Shout out to Rose Namajunas, though. I don't believe she is. As a matter of fact, I think she beat the PED monster in in her last fight, and I thought she was going to get demolished. I thought that the strength was just going to be too much. But Natty versus Not, Rose comes out on top, you know. So that was pretty awesome. But I digress. I'm way too far in the weeds. That's all I really wanted to say. UFC 263, the three fights that I saw were very interesting. So good night. I would also recommend that, people go watch the post-fight interviews from these guys after they've been done competing, whether they win or lose. It's a very interesting study. And Moreno's press conference was great. So, yeah, if any of you guys you want to check that out, it's recommended. I would do so. Yeah, so I guess that's it. As always, thank you for listening. Be good, be safe. Boom.